Patriots, regarding Cuomo, I would challenge you to think, to consider what is really at the heart of this scandal. What is the most significant and profound part of the scandal? Because corporate media in America, unfortunately, is so thoroughly corrupt that it will try to divert you. And Jen, I think corporate media in this case is doing that, trying to get people to pay attention to the less important issues regarding Cuomo.
Yeah, there's no question about it. You know, you think about last year, right? If the media is not diverting your attention, then they're selectively reporting. We saw what they did with Hunter Biden and their lack of reporting on it last year.
Sure.
And Steve, it's no wonder that the American public doesn't trust the media, or it's a record low, the trust that they have in the media right now.
Right, and well-deserved. And you are so right. To use a theological term, if it's not a sin of commission from the media, then it is a sin of omission from the media. So listen, Andrew Cuomo obviously generated a big media frenzy with his resignation today. Now, naturally, most of the media coverage, it focused on his shameful words and behavior towards his female subordinates. But we can't lose focus and let Andrew Cuomo off the hook for his far greater crimes: the preventable and unnecessary deaths of thousands of elderly New Yorkers in nursing homes due to his inane policies and the subsequent cover-up. In the spring of 2020, during the worst days of the pandemic, Cuomo ordered that New York nursing homes accept knowingly infected patients back into their facilities. Instead of having these highly contagious citizens recuperate in hospitals, he placed them with other vulnerable elderly residents, and he effectively turned New York nursing homes into killing fields. Now, there was no shortage of hospital beds. The U.S. Navy hospital ship USNS Comfort was dispatched by President Trump to New York Harbor, and massive field hospitals were quickly built in Central Park. But both of those locations were barely used, thankfully, because the system was not overrun. But for whatever reason, Cuomo went ahead with his plan with disastrous consequences. That mistake is why, if it were a country, New York would have the second highest per capita death rate on planet Earth, behind only the country of neighboring New Jersey, where Governor Phil Murphy made all the same mistakes as Andrew Cuomo. For context here, even though Florida has a far larger elderly population than New York State does, the very open and very free Sunshine State boasts a far better track record on COVID because Governor Ron DeSantis aggressively protected the vulnerable, especially those in nursing homes. The per capita mortality rate in Cuomo's New York is an astounding 49% higher than in Florida. But perhaps even worse than forcing the elderly back into these homes is the cover-up. The cover-up is what should have forced Cuomo from office and perhaps sent him to a prison cell. However bad his behavior was with women, and I am not at all disrespecting those who were mistreated, those misdeeds pale in comparison to the cover-up of the slaughter of the elderly in his state. Now, the New York Times broke this story of the cover-up in March of this year. Quote, top aides to Governor Andrew M. Cuomo were alarmed. A report written by state health officials had just landed, and it included a count of how many nursing home residents in New York had died in the pandemic. The number, more than 9,000 by that point in June, was not public, and the governor's most senior aides wanted to keep it that way. They rewrote the report to take it out, according to interviews and documents reviewed by the New York Times. The extraordinary intervention, which came just as Mr. Cuomo was starting to write a book on his pandemic achievements, was the earliest act yet known in what critics have called a months-long effort by the governor and his aides to obscure the full scope of nursing home deaths. By the way, that's some real journalism from the New York Times. You don't see that too often, but we had to commend it when it's out there. Now, Cuomo must be held accountable still for this cover-up. Prosecutors must act. In Massachusetts, they already have, charging 2 nursing home administrators there criminally for knowingly combining COVID-positive patients with other residents, resulting in 76 deaths in just one facility, the Soldiers' Home in Holyoke, Massachusetts. Similar indictments should be handed down for Cuomo and staffers. The families of the deceased in New York deserve justice. At the Isabella Geriatric Home in Manhattan, a staggering 98 people died from the virus in one place, in one facility of 705 beds. At the State Veterans Home at St. Albans in Queens, New York, staff leaked out a list of 48 deaths from this facility of only 250 residents. These proud veterans, they served our country, like Air Force veteran Alexander Ritchie, shown here as a young Air Force serviceman in Vietnam. He's on the bottom row, second from the right. We owe it to Ritchie and to thousands of others to make sure that Andrew Cuomo does not escape from justice, even if he escapes from impeachment in the state capital of Albany, New York.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.